Hi, hello, welcome in. I'm Chickadee, and I was honored to be able to cover the LudoNarraCon again this year. For those of you who don't know, this is a digital con focused on narrative games. If you see something you think you're gonna like in this trailer video, be sure to check out the description down below for a more in-depth review of it. If it's not there yet, it's coming, I promise. Which does mean now's a great time to subscribe. Now, so many games, so little time. I obviously did not get to play all 49 games that were part of the showcase, but I've narrowed down the ones that I did get to play to my top 6, as well as a few honorable mentions. And that's where we're going to start with my honorable mentions. My first one goes to Usual June. You play as June in this action-packed adventure following a young girl on her summer break who's also fighting supernatural beings. The demo drops us kind of in the middle of the narrative, leaving quite a bit of mystery, both story-wise and mechanics-wise, but I feel like I got a general understanding of what the game loop's going to be. You'll be bouncing between the real world, for lack of a better term, and some sort of spiritual or extraterrestrial world. The real world has your friends as well as some environmental exploration around Fen Harbor. June can see and interact with things on another plane that her friends seemingly can't. In the demo, she then gets transported to another place, and it seems like she's been here before, even though we're not quite privy to what that was like. And this is also where you find the fast-paced combat segments of the game. Will you defeat the man responsible for keeping these spirits around? Next up is Until Then. You play as Mark, a high school student in the Philippines. The demo is very slice of life, having us follow Mark through a last-minute crunch on a presentation project after some video game procrastination the night before. It seems this isn't the first time it's happened. He continues his school day chatting with friends, talking about crushes, and the upcoming prom. We do, I think, get to see the prom in the demo. I just didn't have time, unfortunately. There is a slight mystery here, and we get a tiny moment during the presentation that makes it seem like some timeline stuff might be off. I'm unsure if there's actually a timeline thing or what was going on with that, but I'm really intrigued by that moment about rain. The game's description and tagline does add to this mystery, which features some memory and fate stuff. Who does Mark meet, and what comes from his forever changed life? My final honorable mention goes to Schrodinger's Call. You play as Mary, the last person to pick up a phone and say, hello? This game takes place in a limbo-like setting. You aren't exactly alone. You have a phone which rings and can be dialed out, which does have people on the other side, and also there's Hamlet the cat. Hamlet acts as a guide in this game. You'll talk your way through various calls, helping people remember who they were calling, what it was about, and ultimately why the call ended before it was finished. You'll experience a variety of narratives served with a side of cosmic, abstract, and frankly trippy visuals. That side of visuals is a side to both the narrative and the majority of the visuals, which are black and white. Will you be the listening ear that these people need on their final call? Now it's time for my top 6. I always struggle to pick favorites, and this was no different, and I extra struggle to rank them, but here we are. I've done it for you. Here's number 6. Wanderstop. You play as Alta, a warrior on her way to be trained in order to get her win streak back. You begin your story in search of Master Winters to train with. You're running through a forest, and your sword begins to get heavy, unbearably heavy. And then your legs can carry you no further. And then you become so exhausted that you become unconscious. The next thing you know, you're waking up in Wanderstop with Boro beside you. If you try to leave again, the same thing happens. Your legs will not carry you any further. But don't worry, Boro will find you again and bring you back to Wanderstop. He insists that you need to rest, and that part of that could be helping run the tea shop if you can't just sit and rest. And so you do. You learn about farming, groundskeeping, and tea making. You meet quirky customers, and you find the perfect tea for their desires. And along the way, you try some teas yourself. You rest, and you remember. Will Alta go back to her training? Or will she find peace at Wanderstop? Coming in at number 5 is a game I almost played for Next Fest, and has been on my list for a little while, but I finally tried The Horror at Highrook. This game has been giving me vibes of Betrayal at House on the Hill, with its mysterious haunts and room revealing and exploration mechanics, and while it's not exactly the same by any means, not that I thought it would be a carbon copy, it certainly doesn't disappoint. Slowly revealing rooms and items while using particular skills of the characters in your control, a narrative begins to take shape of a man who got into some occult practices, forcing his family down the same path, and ultimately regretting his choices, at least according to the first couple of letters. Only time will tell if the magic is real, or simply the ravings of a madman. What letters, rooms, and mysteries will you uncover while trying to stay alive in the haunted Highrook mansion? Coming in at number 4 is actually another horror game, We Harvest Shadows. I was pleasantly surprised by this one. I will definitely be playing more of it. On the surface, this game is about a man who wanted to escape to a simpler life and begin a homestead. It's a farming simulator, except it's way more than that. You play as Garrett, who clearly has a bit of a troubled past that he is trying to run away from. We get a few glimpses of this early on. There's also something not quite right about the farm, or perhaps his head, or maybe it's both. Over the course of the game, you will work to complete daily to-do lists, to get your farm up and running, and explore the neighboring areas. It isn't exactly safe out there, and being alone and surrounded by frightful sounds and just straight up wolves definitely has you a little off your rocker. So don't forget to stop by the painting by the door to see what kind of mental state you're in. Are the shadows really out to get you, or is it simply a shadow of your past? And we've made it to my top 3 with Psychotic Bathtub. This game, more than others, may not be for everyone, as it explores what a psychotic episode may actually manifest as. It hits on some hard-hitting topics like loss, illness, and self-harm. However, it is an amazing experience, and it's one that you can play over and over for more endings. In the demo alone, there are 5 to reveal. It's a simple point-and-click game, but the art and the writing create a vivid experience. Sit in a bathtub alongside your rubber duck, your meds, and a glass of wine, and explore your inner psyche by interacting with nearby objects. Will you find inner peace or something a little darker? We're almost there, but first, number 2 is The Berlin Apartment. You'll experience a variety of stories that all take place in a single Berlin apartment across 100 years. The true main characters of this story are a father and daughter who are renovating this apartment. But as they do so, they find pieces of previous tenants' lives. We are sent into these lives to experience a small part of their life in this apartment. And through those lives, we also get to learn a little bit about Berlin's history. Take a step into the past and witness history through the eyes of quote-unquote ordinary people. And we've made it to my top game of LudoNarraCon 2025, Two Falls. Play as both Jeanne and Macon to experience the Canadian wilderness in the 17th century. Jeanne is a French woman searching for a new life in Nouvelle-France. Macon is an Innu hunter. In the demo, we're introduced to the conflict between Macon's people and the foreigners, as well as a supernatural folkloric force which is said to come out when nature is in danger. The game is based in narrative and environmental exploration, and your choices matter. Will you choose to play as a trustful Macon, or will you go down a path of hate and revenge? And what other choices are open to us, and how will they change our narrative? Well, there you have it, my standouts from what I was able to play in a short period of time for the 2025 LudoNarraCon by Fellow Traveler. Stick around the channel for a more in-depth look at my top 6, as well as a backlog of other great games, including the batch from last year's LudoNarraCon, and looking forward to the 6-1 showcase in May, and Steam's Next Fest in June. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you had fun, I had a blast, catch you next time, bye!